Hi and welcome to this video. In this video, I will talk about the FIIO M21. Before I begin, let me thank FIIO for providing the M21 for this review. Rest assured, my review is 100% my own personal opinion, and FIIO has no input on this review. Okay, so let's start from the box. The box itself is surprisingly kinda small. Okay, so this might look big because of my current setup. The camera is literally like, how many inches is this? Yes, maybe just like 30 centimeters. How many inches is that? I don't know. Anyway, that's not the point. And yeah, you might also notice that in my current video or setup rather, there's a Philips screen. Yeah, this because I just kinda in a way reset up my setup. Is that even a word? A sentence? Yeah, anyway, that's not the point. I'll put my own setup now more or less like this. So you guys will know that my excuses for having this Philips right here. Anyway, so the box itself is actually quite small, and then it just shows the picture of the DAP and nothing else, as always. Okay, so when we first unbox the M21, we are greeted with the M21 picture on its cassette case. Oh, also the cassette case is not included. I believe it's priced around $20 or something. But don't worry, I have the cassette case and the letter case to let you guys know how it looked with both of those cases. Previously, the M21 was here. Yeah, it's kinda, I don't know. The packaging on the M21 is kinda a bit sad because I feel like this is quite unsafe. Like, even the M21 itself is almost like shaking around here. And then there's, it's literally a paper and then some kind of foam. But anyway, maybe FIIO decided to put their budget on the M21 itself, which most likely, yes, because holy yes, the M21 is, yes, the TLDR or TLW. Too long didn't watch or my summary of this review that under 500 USD, this is my go-to recommended DAP. If you don't want to watch this review or like look at the thing and stuff, you can just go ahead and close this video and then maybe just buy yourself and your friend and your family M21 because it's so great that I wish everyone can at least have or try this DAP because for its price, this thing just smacks the competition. Okay, so what we get? If you notice that my hands are shaking, it's because I am kinda still quite sick. In a way, anyway, it doesn't matter. Let's just focus with the review. My personal life and this review is not exactly related, so yes. The only thing that I had to make an excuse is that usually there's no Philips, but now there's a Philips because I can't afford a bigger table, and now I am kinda in a way, yeah, there's no way to put this thing for my mixing and mastering setup, so yeah, there's the excuse. Back to the review. We get a quick start guide, a warranty card. What is this? Android open source licenses. And then of course the forbidden snack. And a very nice USB 3. I believe it's USB 3 because the thing is blue. Well, yeah, at least I hope it's USB 3. But I believe it is. And the cable itself is actually quite thick, which is nice. Okay, so where is the DAP? Okay, hold on. Here it is. It's very nice. And the camera, obviously, the exposure and stuff is just, yeah, basically I use a budget smartphone, so my bad. Yeah. So this is the DAP. And for recap, because I forgot to do a recap, what you get inside the box is obviously the DAP, a USB cable, C2A by the way, the version 3 USB 3 cable, and then a tempered glass, this one which is pre-installed. Thank you FIIO for putting a tempered glass. And a silicone case, this is also pre-installed from the factory, which is, I really dig the look of the default case. It's so nice. But then we have the cassette case, which look even more cooler than this one. But for convenience, I prefer this default case. And you get a manual and a warranty card. Okay, now let's start with the build quality. The M21 feels very solid, and for a 300 USD DAP, yes, that I totally forgot to mention the price. Yeah, the DAP feels pretty premium. It's just, yeah, the body is, or rather the case, yeah, the body of this device is fully made out of aluminum. And there's also two color options for the M21, which are titanium gold and dark blue. Okay, on the front there is a 4.7-inch screen, which looks kinda fine. That, yeah, my camera is really sucks by the way. But I think the M21 uses a better panel than the budget model, the GM21. Yes, don't be confused, there's a GM21 and a M21. The colors look more pops out compared to the GM or the budget model, but still, don't expect a super high quality, high DPI smartphone like screen, because I believe this is only like 720p or something. I will put the number of the resolution here. On the left side, you can find a power/lock button and a volume buttons, a multifunction button that literally you can just, it's like having a macro on a DAP, which is nice. You can program this to do whatever you want. And then you got the desktop mode on or off and a hold switch. So I will try to explain what is the function of this hold switch. Okay, if the camera can focus, please, or adjust the exposure rather. Or I can just, yeah. Oh! Yeah, I was listening to Dr. Dre. It's really nice. Shout out to Dr. Dre. Big fan, bro. Anyway, yeah. So, the hold switch is like, there's, yeah, let me just read it for you. Select the button or touch panel to use when the hold key is set to on. Okay, So these are all disabled. So if I put the hold switch on, which it should be on red, this is hold switch on, and there's hold, because I am not enabling the touchscreen. There's also touch panel has been disabled. Turn off the hold switch to enable it. Yes, FIIO is kind enough to put a description that telling us the touch panel has been disabled and turn off the hold switch to enable it, to avoid like unnecessary tickets or support. Like, for example, you have a son or a daughter that play with your DAP and you don't know the function of the hold switch, and then maybe they flick the switch on, so now you're kinda confused. Huh? Why my touch panel didn't work and stuff? So yeah, FIIO is kind enough to put the description that telling us, hey, your touch panel settings is disabled and the hold switch is on. So thank you, FIIO, for doing this. It's a small thing, but it's very thoughtful. Yeah, so basically that's the hold switch function. Okay, continuing. On the right side, you got yourself a playback button. Yeah, this is like rewind, play, and next. Okay, on the top of the DAP, you got 3.5 single-ended and 4.4 balance that supports line out mode, and I believe the 3.5 supports speed diff, yes, whatever. Okay, and on the bottom part of the DAP, you get yourself a power in, USB 3.0, and a micro SD slot. Okay, so for charging, you can just use USB 3.0, or I actually charged this thing through the USB 3.0 just to reconfirm that if this port can be used for charging and stuff. But basically, if you want to use this as a USB DAC for your PC, you have to plug your USB cable to the USB port. Obviously this is a USB port. Both are USB port. But what I mean is that you have to put the cable to the middle one, the one that has USB 3.0 text, because this one is only uses for power in. For the specs, the FIIO M21 uses quad CS43198 plus dual OPA 1692 plus dual SGM 8262, what do you call it, DAS 2. And for the electrical stuff, the M21 uses the same Qualcomm Snapdragon 680 processor, just like the JM21, but the RAM is increased to 4GB from 3GB, and the internal storage also doubled. The JM21 only have a 32GB of internal storage, and now the M21 have 64GB, but only around 50GB is usable. Also for the M21, FIIO marketed this a lot more audiophile than the JM21, that you can check on their website that they said that they use a flagship grade power supply stuff and a high-end hi-fi parts, and then they isolate the digital and analog to make the M21 have a purely heavenly sound. Yes, they wrote that. While the JM21 is more like, hey, you can use this as your Android music player, like Walkman wannabe stuff, just like that. The M21 is, I believe, targeted towards more the audiophile that has or have had English experience with their audio journey, that wanted a very nice and reassuring component and stuff and specs. So yeah, they put the marketing as more audiophile. Okay, so for the output power, in configuration as USB DAC mode with super high gain and high gain mode are rated at this. I will just put it here because it's I need to, if I were to read it, I had to read a very number stuff which is I am not good at English, haha. Yeah, so for the single-ended right here, and for the balance output it's right here. Okay, now let's talk about battery life and charging time. I tested the M21 with its balance jack using Just Ear Defiant with Apple Music streaming, or let's say the Wi-Fi is also on. So I start the test at 8:42 p.m. The battery life was at 82%, and fast forwarding to 9:07 p.m. the battery life is at 78%. So more or less with an IM on balance jack, with Wi-Fi on or streaming, the M21 battery life could last for around 9 to 10 hours. Okay, so for the charging time with my Anker 30-watt power delivery charger, it charged fully around 1.5 hours, which is kinda what FIIO wrote on their specs or on their website, which is nice. They are telling the truth. Hey, this device can be fully charged for only 1.5 hours. As for the features, we can do what with the M21? We can use it as an Android mode or pure music mode for purely like only basically I never use the pure music mode because it's just so kinda defeat the whole purpose of Android DAP, because it only enables FIIO music player. Anyway, it's there if you want to use it, and then you can use this as an AirPlay and as a USB DAC mode, of course with the very nice desktop mode. I really praise FIIO for having these features, because if we put the desktop mode on and we use this thing as a USB DAC, so they basically just bypass not charging the battery and fully power the M21 using the power in. So it's basically you power this thing with a USB power rather than battery power, and then the battery itself won't charge. And I know for some people, well, like me for example, that only can afford one device and cannot afford separate product for their desktop setup and then for their portable setup and stuff. So FIIO just made this for you to be able to use this as your basically just, if you have the M21, you got yourself a DAP and then also a desktop setup. Okay, continuing. You can also use the M21 as a Bluetooth receiver, which is basically just like your BTR series. For another features, as I said, the line out supports SPDIF and coax to connect to other equipment. And then I already told you about the USB DAC, and then the unique Walkman era smart cassette case. The case actually uses pin just like an iPad accessories. This actually kinda shocks me at first because, they put a pin on a DAP like an iPad? So I was like, yeah. As a middle-aged man that experienced the Walkman and cassette tape era, this feels like a very nice nostalgia. Not sure about Gen Z or above that haven't experienced a cassette tape era though. They might just telling that this is just a straight up gimmick and not a feature, so don't use this, don't use that. Anyway, for me, because I experienced the cassette tape era. Okay, hold on. Actually, let me just demonstrate it to you. Let me grab the cassette tape case and the letter case. This. And hold on. There's a funny thing. And then this. Worm tip. What do you mean by worm tip? Anyway, yeah, I cannot judge because my English also bad, but yes, it's worm tip. Okay, so let me demonstrate. If only I can yeah, it's kinda hard to remove, which is nice actually because the case is very snug, so your device are kinda protected in a way. Even if you don't want to purchase both of this, like the provided case is already good enough and it's very convenient. Like, yeah, like you can see that I struggle to open this case. Yeah, it's really nice. FIIO actually I should have not put back the default case before shooting the review because I clearly struggled to. Oh my god. Hello, FIIO. I am sick and this is like 6 in the morning. Okay. Yeah, as you can see, it's quite hard. Which is thumbs up from me because they really made the case, the included one, so precise that it's so hard to remove. Yeah. Okay, so this is what I'm talking about. This is the pin. Like usually you see this in iPad and stuff. Also, to be quite honest with you, the M21 without case look very, yeah, it's just nice. Like, look at this, the gold accent. Okay, anyway, let's go back, talk about the case, the tape case, the cassette case. This is like, I don't know if you can actually, let me just put it to my microphone, like, hear this thing. Like, oh my god. It's so satisfying to click. Hello, FIIO? How? It's so nice. Yeah, anyway. Let me demonstrate. Okay, we open this and we insert this. Okay, actually let me just reconfirm the worm tip. To ensure good contact, please place the M21 horizontally and flatten it vertically. Huh? What do you mean? Like this? Oh wait, hold on. Yeah. Like this. Place it. Okay. Like this. And then... Oh, it detects! It's so cool! Like, yeah. Like, look at this. It just... it brings back so many memories. Well, at least for middle-aged man. I don't know about Gen Z because maybe they don't experience the cassette era. It's so nice. Like, look at... Yeah. Ooh, nice. Yes. So you got yourself. Yeah, I'm actually quite Wow. The only thing I wish that this part though, they should have kinda covered this, because let's say just in case you're kinda for some reason scratch this, so the DAP will be scratched. But yes, but look at this. It's so cool. Like let's try. Oh, so now this becomes, yeah. Oh my god, like, yeah. I'm basically nerding out right now, and this review is kinda be quite long, and yeah, you can hear a dog barking anyway. Like, look at this. It's so cool. Like, you can, yeah, this is to increase the volume. And then this, the play pause. Oh, it spins, bro, it spins. Yeah, anyway. I am nerding out right now. And let's, nice. Oh, the F word. My bad. Yes, like look at this. It's Tupac with the cassette theme. It's, and the fact that they can detect this with a third-party apps that I use is the Apple Music, and not only exclusive for FIIO Music only, is very thoughtful. Because yeah, FIIO, thumbs up from me. I just wish that you put some kind of cover here, but anyway. Yeah, I can't. Wow. Okay, enough of nerding out. Let me try to remove the thing. Okay, if I could, can I remove this safely? Can I just push from the back? Yes, I could. Okay, so maybe they put this hole to help us to remove this safely, or more like easily, because like you can see, I am struggling when removing the included case. So they may be thinking that, well, at least on this case, let us help you guys to remove this thing easily. So they just, yeah, but I wish that at least they put some kind of cover, or my idea was like include some kind of cloth or something, like the same colored cloth. So at least if it's scratched, for some reason you got an accident that scratched this part, the cloth will get scratched instead of your DAP. Okay, moving on. With the letter case, I actually not really a big fan of letter case in general, because it's kinda gimmicky. Yeah, for me the letter case is more gimmicky than the cassette case, and let me tell you why. I had a bad experience with a letter case from Shanling, where I still use Shanling M5S, the one DAP that when you use it, it's so hot that you can literally use it for ironing your clothes. It's so hot. So what happened was like, so we insert this, right? It's just slides. And I am being very unlucky. The thing, the M5S, the Shamling, just slides out of the case. So it hits the yeah, I ended up with having a dent M5S because of a letter case. But again, maybe FIIO thought of that too, so they put, at least on this case, they kinda try to secure it like this, because usually on other brand, like the top part where you slide the case is just blank without anything. So I still kinda praise FIIO for having this. It's really small thing, but it just, the attention to detail is just there. Okay, so now let's continue, and I don't know how long this review would be, and forgive me if I kinda yap a lot, like not sticking into the topic, because this M11, M11S and M21 series, this particular series, had a special place in my heart. This channel won't be even here if I don't buy the M11 like few years ago. Yeah, I was like, at that time I have the M11 and I was like, why don't I just make a review channel or something? Because previously I was like, in a way, kinda get tricked by so-called reviewer that they say that this thing is so good, blah 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 blah, and then I buy it and I was like, what's so good about this? I'm an audiophile and I cannot see the goodness in that thing. And then so I was like, yeah, let me just make my own channel with my own honest opinion, so I won't be get tricked, or at least I will prevent others to get tricked by the so-called reviewer, or more like salesperson. Anyway, yeah. So with this particular series have a special place in my heart. Okay, now let's just continuing. For the sound and comparison, I will compare this while talking about the sound to the JM21 and the M23. And why did I compare it to all FIIO's current DAP lineup? Actually, let me just... Yes! So continuing. Why did I compare this M21 to the JM21 and M23? Because at least in my mind, people are gonna be a bit confused with FIIO current lineup of the DAP. Cause actually the M21 is supposed to be the successor to the M11S. But then again, now the current lineup of FIIO's DAP, there are M23, JM21, and now the M21. As for the M23, I can clearly see the target market, which is mid-budget audiophiles that know their stuff. As for the JM21, it's like an introduction to the FIIO DAP ecosystem. And now this, they gave us M21 series. It's kinda in a weird spot, but in a good way. FIIO in a way gave us more affordable options to the M23. In fact, I see some part of the M21 actually like a fix of the overseen previous M23 releases, like the nitpick I have with it, such as the normal and very tactile volume button of the M21 rather than the if you remember my review of the M23, there's this slide touch panel that I actually had a bad experience with that. It's kinda dangerous in my opinion. The M23 slide volume. And why did I say that it's dangerous? Because I actually accidentally put my hand like, obviously because this is a DAP, but at that time, thankfully I use HD 650, or else maybe I would be deaf right now. Because M23 has so much power. Even with the HD 650, when I accidentally put my hand into my pocket, I slide the thing and holy, the volume, bro. Oh, it's so dangerous. Yeah, imagine if I or we accidentally slide the volume up on the M23 when using, let's say, like Campfire Andromeda or stuff, because it's so sensitive. First of all, you will be most likely get a hearing damage, and second of all, maybe the IM would be just completely broke because of the over loudness, or whatever. The driver would be, I don't know. But that's not really the important part. The really important part is that we, as an audiophile, or at least me, I will remind you guys too that listen on a safe, not very loud volume, because first of all, if we are so-called audiophiles, we love sound, we love audio, and then if you, let's say, are not responsible or like not really caring about your hearing health, it's just like ironically. Yeah, because if you don't care about your hearing, you can't even enjoy audio for a long time. Like, let's say I am a middle-aged man and I still wanna hear a very good audio, or like, with my hearing at my, let's say, 70s, if I still alive at that age, because for me, I want to be able to enjoy a nice audio till the day I became a old guy or like a grandpa or something. So protect your hearing, listen with just normal hearing, and take a periodical break so your hearing will be safe. Okay, this is too much yapping, so I actually kinda want to apologize. This video would be so long that I don't know, but at least I already put the TLW thing on the front in the beginning of this video. Also, the fact that the accessories of the M21 are more polished than the M23, it feels like FIIO gave more thought to the M21. Like they want it to be perfect for its price, and guess what? It delivers and punches way above its price. Okay, so for the sound section, I tested the M21 using the HiFiMan HE400SE, Sennheiser HD 650, Hydis MK12, Just Ear Defiant, and SimGod ET142. Mostly using it on Android DAP mode, and the music is streaming directly from Apple Music with genres that consist of J-pop, EDM, rap, metal, and jazz. With stock, I don't know what filter, I don't change the filter, with stock filter out of the factory. Tonality in general, it's lush, not exactly warm, but if I had to put it into words or like an analogy, the M21 presented the sound in a very liquidy way with a nice texture, like you're drinking a smoothie. That's the best analogy that I can give you to describe the M21 sound. My first impression when using the M21 is that this device reminds me a lot more of the M23 with different sound presentation style rather than the JM21. The M21 to my ears, again, sounds very lush, relaxed, and just a very nice, enjoyable entry mid-price bracket DAP that really punches way above its asking price. One thing I really noticed compared to the cheaper options like the JM21, the M21, the M, not the JM, the M has a very different way of presenting sound. The M21 is just like a plain typical neutral tilted a bit towards warmth, like your typical dongle stuff, budget dongle, while the M21 presents the sound in a very lush, full of texture that I really only can describe it as like drinking a smoothies. It doesn't sound generic. Okay, now let's talk about the bass. And for some reason I want you to be... Yeah, anyway, the bass, it's full, tight, not really bouncy, more like the M21 present the bass with deep thump rather than bouncy. It has a very nice depth to it. It also has a very good punch without sounding blunted, and sub-bass extensions also very good, almost as good as the M23. Tested using the HD650, I found the bass control to be excellent, even using it only with the single-ended jack. Even though it might not have the highest power number figure, unless you are powering 600 ohms Bayer Dynamic old stuff, pretty sure the M21 can power everything you throw at it. For the mid-range, it has a very dark background, neutral, and the noise floor is so low that it feels like the whole presentation of the mid-range is actually very spacious. Vocal and instruments sounds pretty organic, not exactly colored. If I had to say it, it has that sweet and kinda mellow feel to it. For the treble, it's honest, non-offensive treble presentation, as in like it is not boosted to make overall sound more hype, but it is very extended. So let's talk about the technicalities. Hello, why you turn off again? I don't care about the battery life, I just want you to be... yes, enough of that. For the technicalities, it's excellent for a 300 USD DAP. Let's start with the stage. It's wide, with excellent stage layering. It's almost as good as the M23, which is kinda crazy. For the asking price, it's only 300 USD and you get this kind of technicalities. Okay, anyway, imaging, excellent. It could make a 2.5D sounding IEM sounds holographic. Like, let's say the Juice Ear Defiant. I dare to claim that the M21 imaging capabilities is at least as good as the Estelle & Kern SR35. Or I would dare say, this one, the M21 is even better than that. Like, you really need to try this. You need to try it yourself to believe it. As for separation and positioning, it's very good. Thanks to the excellent stage layering, very good power supply that they claim it's a flagship grade and stuff, and the dark black background, sound placement is very good and precise. It's so easy to pinpoint and discern what and where the sound is coming from with the M21, and I definitely had no complaints here. As for the tail retrieval, it's very good. It can extract a lot of micro detail, almost. The key is almost. The keyword is almost. As good as the M23. And again, I find the M21 to have better detail retrieval than SR35 from Estelle & Kern, which is crazy. Another great product offering with crazy value from FIIO. Okay, so now on my OBS recorder, it shows that I already yapped for around 1 hour and 15 minutes. Okay, so what is the conclusion of me yapping for 1 hour and 15 minutes? I will edit this, don't worry. maybe it would be 40 minutes video or something, but it's still very long. I'm sorry again. The M21 definitely has become my default go-to Rex for DAP under 500 USD. It's either FIIO too generous to make the M21 sound so good and charging only 300 USD or what, I don't know, I'm not sure. The M21 almost in a way, almost, can replace the M23 in my honest opinion. Sure, the M23 is definitely superior technicality wise, but it's like you're paying a whole lot more money to gain like maybe, let's say, if I had to put a number like maybe just 10% of technical differences. So I'm not quite sure like what's FIIO's plan here. All I can say is that we, the audiophile community, are winning in a way. Now this kind of sound is very accessible, like the fact this thing costs only 300 USD still bamboozles my mind. Like, no offense to all SR35 owners, your DAP still looks cooler and more aesthetically pleasing than the M21. But this thing slaps. Yes, like that, slaps my camera. Slaps the SR35 in technical department. Okay, so that's all from me for now. If you made it, like you watched from the beginning to the end, in this very long video, I gave you a clap. GG. You're cool. Okay, thanks for reaching this far. And if you found this video helpful, hit the like button. Want more video like this? Well, not exactly like this, but a shorter one, preferably. Hit subscribe and please share it with your friends. Okay, till next time. Bye bye.